Hello and welcome back to the World Championship Series for the final game of the evening. It's time for the decider match to see who goes through with 4GG in second place. I forgot to give 4GG his cookie, but I definitely made sure he got it afterwards. Graham ran off after him to make sure he got his little marine because he had the marine, which is now gone. And funny enough, iAsonu.
If it was Graham, we can't be sure he actually gave it to him.
I was about to say.
Yeah, that's true. Graham has been eating all the cookies today. iAsonu and Zanster are playing for the two little Zerglings, and we get to award that to the winner afterwards. Let's check in with the brackets. If you're just tuning in for the very first time today, welcome. We've been having some fun today, and we've already seen 4GG go through in first place. But now it's a time to find out who is second. It's a Zerg, for sure, but which one? Zanster or iAsonu? Bling, you've been looking at some of the numbers for these guys, looking at their history together.
And it's non-existent. It's non-existent, mate. They haven't played at all, but Zanster, his ZvZ is on point, I feel. So I feel like he's got good chances.
He made a tweet directly after the loss versus 4GG saying that he's only practiced, 80-90% service Zerg. He's feeling great to take on iAsonu, who, he's lost versus 4GG a little bit earlier on, but he defeated Kane and actually looked rather good against Kane.
He did, and Kane played an aggressive style, and that's more than likely what we're going to see out of iAsonu. So I feel like if he does bring that style, then Zanster's going to be in his comfort zone.
All right, well, let's take a little bit of a closer look now at Zanster, who is feeling it. He's feeling this. It's his debut. He feels like he can go to the round of 16. Do you believe, Todd?
Yeah, of course I believe. Look at him. He's definitely feeling it right now, stretching a little bit. He's shown in the past how good he can do
He's
ZvZ.
really feeling it as he yawns.
Really? Like, I am super pumped right now.
Doesn't necessarily, well, you focus, you're in the zone.
Yeah,
if you yawn, you get it out of the way. Bling, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Did you yawn before your games when you played on these stages?
I did, but it was a nervous yawn. And you actually...
What? No,
that doesn't exist.
No, it does. It does. When people are nervous, sometimes they yawn.
Is he nervous because he yawns?
No. Cool as a cucumber, man. It's Zanster.
So he's just tired?
He just wants to get the games over with.
That went way too far. Like, the previous segment with the cookie was less cringe than this one. Anyway, Zanster's...
Jesus Christ, he's destroying the new kid on the block here.
Zanster's ZvZ, I feel like he's proven that he's really good at this matchup, and iAsonu, I'm a little bit afraid that I start sounding like a little bit of a hater of iAsonu, but I want to repeat myself. I do think that he's good, but just of a lower caliber than guys like 4GG and Zanster in this case, because, well, Europe above all.
You look at it that way too?
Yeah, I think the Chinese players are good players, but they play a different style. And I feel like their style's up against the European styles. And I guess the European style is somewhat similar to the Korean style because we do try to mimic them a little bit. It's just different. And it just doesn't seem to match up too well. So I kind of agree with what Todd's saying there.
Zanster's going to have had a lot of Zerg versus Zerg practice. There's Snoot, who's meant to be the Zerg versus God of Europe. You got Targa in there as well. And there's a bunch of others too. So you think he's going to be well prepared to take on whatever iAsonu throws at him?
I think definitely. The thing is, there is a little bit of a chance factor at times, and you're definitely gonna need to take a minimum of risks. And if you try to play too safe, then it kind of becomes risky at the same time. So that's gonna have to be one of the factors that it takes into account. But other than that, I do think that Zanster's solid enough to just play like a good standard game from start to finish and do well against somebody like iAsonu.
Okay, let's take a look at the maps then to see how fast or how slow this series can go. If we're talking 4-player maps, 2-player maps, we have Dash and Terminal, Terraform and Coda.
2-player maps, yet again. It seems like they want to take out the randomness. And Dash and Terminal, to start things off with, I think Todd mentioned it before, you scout your opponent very early. So the chances of them cheesing you or even getting away with a cheese are kind of slim. So I feel like Zanster, even though that was iAsonu's pick, I feel like Zanster's going to be happy with iAsonu picking that.
Well, continue on about Dash and Terminal. Is there specific styles that we could see? Can you see the clash of styles no matter what the map? Can you have the Roach style versus the Zergling style, the melee upgrade versus the range upgrade no matter what?
I don't think too much. That's going to be happening too much. I feel like a lot of the time, in particular on this map, it's going to be like a lot about Roach versus Roach just because he's so easy to take a second base, kind of wall it off if you do that properly and scout along the way every single time properly as well. So unless somebody really does a big gamble or really gets surprised by something, which again is very hard to happen because you have only one main pathway to go for, we should be seeing like a standard Roach versus Roach game, like the one we saw earlier in one of these ZvZs, and whoever has the most Roach will win, I guess.
Okay, here comes the big question. Are we going to have Zanster go to his first and rocket straight forward to his first round of 16, or is iAsonu going to take back-to-back season finals?
Of course we are. Zanster is going to win 2-0.
I'm going to agree with that as well. I agree. It's a good prediction.
2-0 Zanster across the board.
I know it's a good prediction, but I want you to be wrong, not to copy me and like take all the credit.
This guy. There's so much love off camera, but on camera it's just all hate.
I know he does. He butters you up off camera, then he comes on. He's like, "All right, now this guy's feeling friendly."
That's not even an exaggerate. How do you say the word?
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration at all. That's not even an exaggeration.
I told you my English better than yours on this desk.
Loving it at the desk. The banter is unbelievable between these two. It's the English and Frenchman loving each other. But it's time to go to the commentary desk where we have two Brits casting together.
The amount of times Todd has no clue what I'm talking about at this desk and has to ask me about things, and then he has the nerve to criticize other people's English. But anyway, let's get into it. Our final series of the day here, Pig. I'm pretty sure Sean just called you a Brit as well.
Yeah, I was gonna let that slide because we're going past it. I'm like, it's like the 6th time, like this is the 2nd day of this event so far. This part of the round of 32, and he keeps sliding it in there. I think he's just trying to subtly undermine my Australianness, maybe trying to get me to speak a little bit more clearly in the Queen's English like you guys do.
I guess so.
I don't think it's gonna happen, mate.
Just say the word indubitably, and then you'll be fine.
Indubitably.
Perfect. Well, slightly. Let's get into it. Getting into game number 1 for our final match, our decider match here in Group F, as we have Zanster going up against the iAsonu, as we do have spawning up to the north position here as our blue Zerg, representing Invictus Gaming. It is iAsonu.
Looking focused here. Took out a very nice win versus Kane. He wants to take it further though. He wants to make his 2nd round of 16 this year.
Yes, he does. And then somebody who was on the hunt for more and more and more in his debut here in the Premier League, as we do have slight spike issues. So we will give him his proper dues in his introduction in just a moment. But one thing is for sure is that Zanster over here is, with his debut performance right now, being in the decider match alone is a real nice step up for him after having challenger after challenger where he wasn't able to qualify, and now being in this position. Great opportunity.
It really is. Once you get that little bit of tempo going, that bit of momentum, it starts to become much nicer just generally. Like you feel that bit of confidence, you feel that comfort kind of going into it, and you can kind of just start to take a bit more leeway with your play. Don't get too tight and restricted with it, and especially in Zerg versus Zerg, that is very important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wonder what we're going to be seeing here in this series, because obviously Zanster, in his previous Zerg versus Zerg, in that 2nd game specifically, he really understood the flow of ZvZ, was able to punish very, very early on with that kind of flood of lings against Kane, and was able to power on through. Let's see if iAsonu is going to kind of fall victim to something like that, because one thing's for sure is that Zanster, even in the later stages of Zerg vs. Zerg, can definitely hold his own very strongly.
Oh yeah, and he's probably got a good idea of what to expect. I mean, Zanster's been watching the previous games, and what have we seen iAsonu really thrive off? It's been Roach play. He loves to rush up to Roach play. He loves to either skip his ling speed or delay it. So that was something he seemed to really be, looking at, and also gooping, right?
Gooping.
He's like, okay, I've just seen Kane have his +2 upgrade delayed so many times in those games, and he's definitely going to be watching out for that, and maybe doing the same sort of contaminate play himself, trying to slow down the upgrades using that overseer contaminate.
That's a really good point that you actually bring up there, because in Zerg vs. Zerg, unless you've actually opened up Mutalisks or something like that to have that kind of very mobile anti-air, sometimes it is difficult to deny an overseer from getting in and being able to contaminate. And one of the only ways you're able to rival that is by having your own overseer yourself to equally do the same thing, right?
It's funny because sometimes, newer players encounter this and they think like, oh, I guess I got to build a spore crawler next to my evolution chamber, and the overseer just kind of changes its direction slightly, puts the contaminate down and just flies away. And you're kind of like, how do I stop this happening? And then you realize, well, I can actually just do it to you as well. Okay, and that kind of balances things out.
It really is one of the only ways to deal with it. And likewise, we have seen in the past some European Zergs favor that style of, I'm just going to go in with a few overseers, have them collect up, contaminate some of the hatcheries, and then try and hit a time revolving around that, because it does limit a Zerg's production when it comes to how much lava is going to be able to pop off those hatcheries as well. So Contaminate, for me, when I watch Zerg vs. Zerg, is one of the really kind of cool little meta games that you do have in the matchup.
I've been thinking about it, and there have been times where I've kind of fantasized around the idea of making a roach timing all in, where you've got like 6 overseers kind of chain contaminating hatcheries.
That would be the dream.
Yeah, you're like, and then you realize that you've got to invest, 300 minerals and 300 gas into this like minutes earlier so they can gain up the energy, and you kind of start to realize the opportunity cost is maybe a bit too much. But when you think about it, you're already making a single overseer as a scouting unit. It costs nothing to just keep it around, and that's actually why it's very important. If you see someone who's very quick on bringing their queens over, starts shooting down the overseer early, often it restricts its scouting, forces it to drop the changeling, waste the 50 energy, and that really slows that down.
Yes, it does. That is true. We're just still waiting here for a moment as we are trying to sort out these lag spike issues that these players are currently experiencing. Obviously, we don't want to launch into the game with those involved. It's a very important match for these guys. They don't want to be playing with any disadvantage on them at all.
Yeah, it's it's a pretty hard position to be in. So we are just going to go to a very quick ad break while we sort out this issue. We will find out very soon who will be the last player going through from this group. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Hello and welcome back to the World Championship Series. We do apologise for the issues. We are having a couple of internet spikes which are preventing the players from playing at optimal performances. We don't want to force them to play, but we do want to force you to listen to us. And joining us on the desk this time is Kane. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Are your family and friends still watching? Probably not now.
I don't think so. I think they gave up hope.
This is the backstage stuff they should be watching. You should text them. Quick, I'm on. But
What was up with all the happiness? Or I'm not sure if it was real. I'm pretty sure it wasn't entirely real. Like when you won and then when you lost.
I don't think.
Well, what was up with all the
It
acting?
was real. No, it was real. I was overjoyed.
Yeah?
When I won the first game, sure.
It was only one game though.
Doesn't matter. I still won, didn't I?
Win's a win, bro.
Win's a win. I was expecting to go 0-4, so that in itself was a victory.
How were you actually expecting to do this season, just like as a whole, having announced that you were going to go back to school and all, like, and having to face Huck, which kind of, it wasn't really your choice too. Like you were like one of the last picks and you kind of like...
I got stuck with him.
Yeah, you guys got stuck together and then you ended up beating him. Did you expect that?
I expected that it would be a really close series. I didn't know how I would do. I'm glad that I won. My goal for this season was to get Premier, and as long as I got that, I was happy. So this, like, coming here was just a cherry on top.
Hanging out with us is always the
Because you
bonus.
got to see
That was
me.
the
It's got
worst
nothing
part.
to do with the $4,500 for being in the round of 32. Nothing to do with that. But you're going to school now.
Yeah.
Where are you studying?
It's a little university called Brandon University, in the middle of nowhere in Canada.
In the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
surrounded by trees and...
No, it's just
Bears
flat.
and-
Where I live, it's just flat prairies for miles and miles. Like you can see people walking like 10 miles that way.
Have you started already?
Yeah, I've done I've done 3 years actually. So I have 1 year left of my degree.
Oh, so you've gone back for the final year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was done almost all of my degree, but then professional gaming popped up, and there was StarCraft America, and then MYI contacted me.
God damn, leave me alone!
Yeah. And then, so it was like kind of a now or never situation because I knew that if I did go back to school, it'd be like probably my most intense year. So I wanted to take some time off and reevaluate my options, I guess.
A lot of people were talking about how this has been your best year in terms of results and performances, and a lot of people felt that, you know, talent could have been going to waste a little bit if you had another year to continue through because you were hitting Premier League consistently.
Yeah, I think that it was definitely my best year for results, but I spent so much time in team houses, and I spent so much time practicing like 9 or 10 hours a day. And, you know, I spent like 6 months in the MY team house every day training. And when you do something for that long and every day for that long, you kind of burn out on passion. So I really enjoyed it for the first year, and then this was my second year off. And I just wasn't enjoying it as much, even though I was getting the best results and most money that I had. So I figured that it was time for me to quit while I still kind of enjoyed the game, so I wasn't left with any sour taste.
Yuan, any questions? for
Anybody
our
recognize you on your campus and all?
You know, I was at a club. Not
Of course. It's a
great story.
It's a student life now, right?
No. Okay. I was at a club it was probably 6 weeks ago. And my friends hadn't arrived yet. I was waiting for them. So I was just at the bar, ordered a drink. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder, so I look around. And there's this like big guy, and I was like...
It's like the bouncer, he's like, get out.
I thought he wanted to fight me or something. But no, he said, I got a question for you. And I said, what? And he said, are you Kane? And I just started laughing, and he's like, bro, I gotta buy you some drinks. If you wanna fight somebody, you come get me. I was like, okay, like the most random situation ever.
He must have been a Zerg player, right?
I don't know.
Definitely.
I think probably Protoss if he's that angry all the time.
He's like, I never told you this, but I actually beat you so many times.
Yeah, so I think that's the only time I've been recognized in my hometown. And then at WCS Toronto, I told somebody I was from Brandon, Manitoba. And they said, oh, I just met somebody from Brandon. And you know, it's like a small town. And I thought, you're full of baloney.
Baloney.
Baloney. And so I said, like, go introduce me. And it turns out that they are from Brandon. So about 4 weeks ago, I went and got some drinks with them.
Oh, really?
Talked about
And you became
StarCraft
best
stuff.
friends.
We're friends, yeah, we're Facebook friends. We talk, we text.
Facebook.
It's Facebook official.
Okay.
All right, we have something for you as well, Sam. We decided to, collect a little reaction kind of thing from you today, and we're going to play it for you on this screen. Watch this.
Take us through it.
Take us through your emotions, mate.
Okay.
What was going through your mind?
I think I was disappointed.
So it's like, what do I even do? What do I do?
He's never been this confused before.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I wonder if he thought you were being serious or super serious.
when he shook my hand, he kind of had a smile on his face. So either he's really cocky, like he's a piece of garbage, or he actually felt bad.
What do you think actually about the ZvZ we're about to have take place here, the decider match between Zanster and iAsonu?
Well, I cheesed Zanster twice in the first match, and he defended it really well. And I think IA is kind of not cheesy, but he's aggressive for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that Zanster is going to have a nice time versus him, I guess. But if IA plays macro and he plays for the long game, I think that it could be pretty good. Because I think that IA is one of the Chinese players that can do both. Whereas somebody like Haas or somebody like that, he might just be a cheeser.
If you were to try to jump into his shoes and you were iAsonu, you probably would go for the macro type of play. Do you think he'll do that, or do you think he'll stay true to?
I think he'll stay true,
Okay.
but yeah, it's tough to call. It's a really tough match. I think that it'll be a 2-1, and I think there'll be good games.
Okay, thank you very much, Kane. Thanks for coming up here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Johan, as well. It's time to head to the commentary team. We're ready for the final game, the decider match of Group F.
All right, back on in here for the World Championship Series to find out who is going to be moving on to the round of 16, who is going to be moving on to Poland alongside 4GG. Big, if you had to pick one here before we get back into this first game, who would you go with?
Oh, it's a tricky choice. This is one where iAsonu does impress me a lot, like as a player, but Zanster's just been on the rise so much that I think we do have to give a little bit of an edge towards Zanster. But I think no matter what, this is going to be a very close match. So if I had to predict, I'd lay it out and just say 2-1 to Zanster.
All right. Well, of course, we did give Mr. iAsonu his introductions. We may as well give over to the right-hand side here. It is our Red Zerg representing Team Property. It is Zanster.
Mr. Anton Dahlstrom, I believe is his name. A very strong player, slowly building up his knowledge over the years. And what I really like is he does have those individual twists on his builds. We saw it in Challenger with his upgraded Zergling play. We saw his, let's try and just kind of rush to Ultralisks versus 4GG's mech. He's got his own way of playing the game. And these sort of players, they tend to understand things in a different, unique way. And it's always cool to watch.
Yeah, this drone's just going to head on down here and go for the hatchery first. Likewise, over on the other side, so is Zanster as well. So no real, crazy punches coming out early on this map. I mean, you highlighted it before very nicely that because it is such a small map, those first overlords can be over there very quickly to be able to spot any kind of craziness that would occur.
Yeah, and they're going to come in now. You can see, of course, Zanster spots the exact timing that iAsonu's gas goes down, saying, ooh, it's a hatch. Gas before spawning pool, whereas iAsonu on the other side sees, oh, you're going pool and just a slightly later gas. So very similar openings here, just going to be a little bit of a gas lead for IA. This map is really kind of straightforward when it opens up this way in some regards, but the next point of contention, as we saw earlier, was when the Banelings come in and that potential back corridor at the natural.
Yeah.
It's always interesting because normally on a map, if someone's a defensive player, they just say, well, I'm just going to build some Banelings, maybe a spine crawler and defend. But on this map, it does get a little bit more complicated when you take that back corridor into effect. However, when Kane tried it against IA, even though his Banelings were delayed, he defended it pristinely. So I think IA is very confident on this map.
He should be. He should be. He's shown some good Zerg versus Zerg in the past. We have seen it play out against some of the other Chinese Zergs, for example, for quite a while. Likewise, though, Zanster has a lot of potential people to play against in the European scene. They already alluded to that. And some of the Zerg versus Zerg players here in the European scene are some of the very best. So can't really fault that.
There is a big log of great, fantastic Zerg players, and you can see it reflected in actually WCS Premier League here. Over the next couple of days, we do have a lot of Zerg players, just like today. Ooh, quite a fast Baneling Nest going down for IA. That's actually incredibly fast, going down at about 4.5 minutes into the game. Of course, Zanster's behind on that gas, so he's dropping his Baneling Nest as soon as he can, but it is still a little bit behind IA's. I think both players just looking to get up those Banelings so they can be very safe, but IA definitely has more potential to flood out Zerglings and do some aggression because he's got that faster ling speed. He's got the Zerglings sneaking around the south side of the map, which does put him in a good position to get the action going, get the tempo going in his direction.
Yeah, definitely. A bit more sneaky for sure. I think it was spotted by an Overlord over to the left-hand side, but eventually, you know, these things could be missed. iAsonu does have 10 more Zerglings in production here.
It's like a Nurture pressure, like a really light pressure.
Yeah.
Trying to put the Zanster on the back foot, force a reaction, maybe do some damage, but he's droning quite hard behind it. So Zanster, on the other hand, we can see he's recognized my gas is a bit later. I got to be a bit safer. He's dropping the spawning pool. He's created a neat wall with his Baneling Nest and Mineral Line, which does create some safety for his drones. But IA's coming in. He wants to start some pressure up. And what a cute wall. Is that a full wall with the Queen and Spine?
I think it might be. It's very seems like he truly believes it's a full wall anyway. So it must be. Which is very, very nice. Usually lings can flood in between spine crawlers if they're next to each other, but when they're next to buildings like this, I guess he's having a bit of a harder time.
Yeah, and that's really cool, actually. I'm gonna steal that wall myself. IA, once again, whenever he does this with the speedlings early on, he always tries to sneak in, see what's going on. And Zanster actually made that lair reactively just before the Zerglings came in vision, and then cancelled at the moment he was gone, and he drops his own Roach Warren. Zanster going 3 gas and a Roach Warren. Looks like he might want to do a big Roach Baneling timing. And IA, on the other side of things, looks like he's planning the same sort of thing just a little bit earlier on. So both players may actually be looking to do early aggression. It may just kind of headbutt into each other.
Yeah, looks like that. And then normalize from there potentially. IA had 4 Overlords pop just before, so he's really opened up the tap so he can get these Roaches going. Zanster, likewise, probably going to have quite a few units popping in a bit once his Roach Warren ends up finishing up. He's getting a few Zerglings, of course, but it's really going to be about the Roaches for now. 13 in production here for iAsonu.
Well, that's a lot of Roaches. Zanster needs to get his Roach production going. He's building quite a bit of Ling Bane, first of all. He does see Roaches coming his way, so he is aware of what's happening, and he is starting to pump out those Roaches as fast as he can. He's got 2 injects about to pop, and as they do, that's when the real Roach count builds up. Of course, looking at the economy, Zanster's up about 3 drones, and he has a Spine Crawler. So if IA commits into a fight here, I mean, it's going to be really disastrous, because they've both got Roach Ling Bane and a Spine Crawler for Zanster. It's going to be very difficult for IA to get damage done. However, this little bit of a wall creates a bit of an awkward choke. It's going to be a bit hard for Zanster to get out there.
I'm going to try and blow it up straight away here with the bulldozer of those Banelings going on through. There's a lot extra Banelings here for Zanster to try and chase this back.
Zanster's just going to get on top of it. The Banelings coming out. And this is actually a very nice hold for Zanster. His Roaches are going to get on top of IA's Banelings and shutting this attack down very quickly.
Yeah, very, very good trade here already for Zanster. He's going to be able to chase everything back. Not only that, as you say, some of the Banelings just did nothing there for iAsonu, as it was be 50 army supply against 39 at the moment. A small portion of his army, though, was choked up down towards his bottom. So he's going to have to sacrifice that
Losing a few units, but IA's army getting trapped. The Banelings blowing up all of the Zerglings. IA's army is getting surrounded, and behind this, Zanster's dropping a 3rd base. He's dropping a lair.
Yeah.
All of these Roaches being surrounded. A beautiful defense from Zanster. Oh, I mean, that was just fortuitous timing. His attack was planned out later. His units popped just in time to receive IA's army, trap it, encircle it, and shut it down.
And that's where IA now feels a little bit scared, because those 2 spine crawlers that went down could have, yes, technically been a hatchery, but Zanster, obviously, having these many Roaches left over after that defense really forced that reaction out of him, and he's going to take a natural advantage because that 3rd base is down much earlier.
Interestingly, IA is still just pumping out Roaches, and I mean, Zanster's already got 18 Roaches, so he should be completely fine against this. There are drones coming out behind this for IA, but he wants to get damage done with this attack. His 3rd is only just starting. His Evo Chamber's just starting. No lair on the way. He needs to somehow break in and do some damage, but I mean, Zanster's got Roach speed and +1 on the way. He's got so many Roaches.
It's 15 drone advantage as well. 15 drone advantage at the moment. iAsonu is going to walk back with his tail between his legs, and Zanster has a massive, massive lead here at the moment.
Yeah, that is staggering. I mean, sometimes all the chips just fall into place, and you know, I think IA a little bit slow to realize the situation. Seeing roaches were already out, maybe he should have pulled back immediately, started his own third base, and things could have evened out. But he overcommitted. He thought, oh, I've got to get in here and do damage, and now Zanster in a fantastic situation. 58 drones for him, +2 range upgrade is already starting, and he's just pounding out those roaches. Probably going to go for a big roach attack somewhere, maybe even before +2 finishes, and just try and push against IA. And because IA is so far behind, if he doesn't give IA the time to kind of catch up and just keeps pushing in over and over, he's got a good chance of just pushing his lead very far ahead.
Does Zanster know about the fact that the layer is like only just finished? Because, oh, it's not even finished, sorry, it's about to. So he doesn't even know that. I mean, he has roach speed, he has +2 on the way. There is such a massive window, surely, here for Zanster.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 11 roaches about to pop. He's about to more than double IA's roach count. So it's a fantastic situation, no doubt about it. Of course, sitting back for a little while isn't going to be the end of the world, but I definitely think he should push before +2 finishes, because that's a while off, and it looks like Zanster senses it. I mean, he's been building just roaches for the last minute or so, and you can see it in his supply. 182 supply versus 137. IA, look at this, adjusting his roach concave defensively. He wants to set up. He's got 2 spine crawlers, and he's just trying to pump out roaches. He's saying, if I can just hang on with great positioning, maybe I can make this happen. But Zanster isn't even going to let the spines take part in this fight. He's going to split up, take down the back door, and he's probably going to come in from multiple angles at once.
Already that WCS sees exactly what is going on here. He pushes himself up against this army, a little bit reluctant to go through. That would have been a great concave technically there for iAsonu, but Zanster reluctant here to take this fight with his advantage.
You know, this is the deciding match of the day. Zanster doesn't want to take too many chances, but he finds the angle he was looking for. The roach speed allowing him to outmaneuver IA, and he's setting up an equal concave. One of the spines is already down, and his concave is crushing through.
Yeah, so many extra roaches. Doesn't even need his +2 here to be able to power on through this. There's very, very little left here for iAsonu. He is down significantly in supply. Roach is going to be reinforcing as well here for Zanster, and this is an easy victory for him. GG, game number 1 goes to our Swede. And now he is 1 game away from the top 16 in that position in Poland.
He just looks very happy with that win. A little bob of his head from side to side saying, well, that was clean. Everything just went right that game. And I really did love how he pursued IA's army immediately after IA started coming to the attack. And he said, well, I just killed your banelings. You don't have any left. I am going to run out there and get on top of that force.
All right, well, that means we'll be going up to game number 2 very soon. But I think one thing that's nice to see from Zanster as well is that, yeah, that little bob of the head, you know, happy with the victory, but at the same time, you can clearly see still focus in him. Not like allowing it to overwhelm, like, oh, what, 1 game away. Maybe there's a little bit of nerve still there, but going on to Terraform now, this next map here, Pig, does he have a good shot here to be able to make the 2-0?
Oh, I think so. This map, we've seen Zanster's pretty happy. I mean, he likes getting his hatch first when he can, but he's completely happy and confident to open up with a safe pool first opening. So I think he's probably going to do that here. And, you know, maybe he's going to throw out some aggression, though it's not regularly his style to do an early pool. But this map plays to his style. 2-player map, your overlords are going to scout them early. You're going to get in position with those early. You're going to see any attacks coming at you with those overlords. And it takes a bit of the randomness out of the matchup in comparison to a 4-player map like Iron Fortress or Cactus Valley. So I think Zanster loves playing on that even footing. He's very confident in it, and he seems very crisp with his builds today.
All right, well, countdown has begun for game number 2 here, as we will be loading up onto Terraform. This gentleman on screen is 1 game away from, in his debut, being able to get top 16, whilst iAsonu needs to keep his hopes alive. Of course, having a good finish, getting top 16 last season, doesn't want to be falling out here in the round of 32.
Yeah, in Season 1 that was, of course, but
yes.
It was a very good one. He wants to repeat that performance. But he's got his work cut out for him.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 2 then, as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner. It is our blue Zerg. Representing Invictus Gaming, it is iAsonu.
Doesn't look tilted whatsoever. Focused, no matter what.
And then up to the top left-hand corner, 1 game away from making the top 16 here. Representing Property, it is Zanster.
very impressed with Zanster's composure as well. First time in Premier League for him, but he's standing on his own 2 feet right now. Doesn't seem like the nerves are getting to him.
And it feels like it's his time. I mean, looking at the group and how it's all played out fully, it really feels in this group it's his time. Can he grasp it, though, is the big question. Because iAsonu, definitely not going to let this one go easily.
Yeah, I mean, things went wrong pretty quickly for IA in that game, but we've seen previously when he's allowed to exert himself through that mid-game phase, you know, through the Roach armies, and when he gets to use his positioning, things can go very well. And, IA going for a bit of a special build here. Going to send that drone out to that gold base. The no-regret build, we like to call it on NA Ladder. But, you know, there's a lot of ways you can follow this up. It's a really interesting way, and if your opponent doesn't scout it straight away, it can really throw them off. It looks like Zanster's second Overlord will probably skim by there.
Yeah.
But when his first Overlord comes across, he may be a little bit shocked. And if that second Overlord misses it, he could be very confused about what's going on in this game.
Does the second Overlord get to a similar position around there when the creep is spreading out from it, and that is the kind of an indicator there as to what he will be able to spot, or
I don't think so. I think he'll be maybe just out of range. It might happen. Not 100% sure. Looks like the Overlord is actually further away. So, you know, hopefully he's encountered this build before and he does know how to react. Meanwhile, IA going for the fast gas and pool afterwards. Looks like he probably wants to go into the Ling Bane version of this. So he's basically saying, I am going to force Ling Bane battles. And this harks back to Season 1, where he actually tried to do this in the round of 16 against players like TLO. It didn't quite work out. He was doing like a lot of Ling Bane aggression. But with this special gold-based build, this could really throw Zanster off in this high-pressure situation.
Yeah, it could. Already, second Overlord gone past this goal base. It isn't. Oh, but he's got actually he evaluated the situation. He's removing it, and that is a great little read here by Zanster, just to be able to pick up on that. Wow.
Aware of the possibility, picked up on that very quickly, and he does see, okay, I see what's happening here. Zanster, meanwhile, at home. Now, keep in mind, Zanster tends to go for a slower gas, but this game, he's actually got a very well-timed Zergling speed. So he's got his second queen on the way. He's building a few more drones. He's actually pulled off gas himself. Zanster, interestingly, looks like he doesn't want to punish this gold base. He's actually just going to kind of keep droning here, maybe go for a Zergling flood, but it doesn't look like he has any plans to go Banelings super fast.
I mean, if iAsonu's aggression doesn't work, surely the gold base is a sitting duck here from this point. So doesn't iAsonu have to make something with it happen with this gold base? How are the dynamics there about that?
Well, because the base is so exposed, it's definitely very vulnerable to aggression. So normally the player with the gold base, IA in this case, is going to be going for some Zergling Baneling aggression of his own, but not necessarily trying to kill, just trying to control space so that he's prepared with almost like a defensive offense, right? The best defense is a good offense. But, you know, if Zanster doesn't try to punish that, then IA can kind of macro up depending on how good his scouting is. Oh, great scouting denial from Zanster. And Zanster is putting down the Baneling nest now. He does have Zerglings on the way. Looks like he does want to get this aggression going. Off the back of 23 drones, so a pretty big economy, Zanster is just going to go all the way, right up, pushing his way against this gold base, and he's going to try to make it happen. Oh, IA is dropping a spine crawler here, but he doesn't have any Zerglings yet. These Speedlings are so fast from Zanster.
Already catching these drones is very, very nice to start things off as well. Lings are going to come in to try and help out, but they are going to get a little bit surrounded there, tucked up on, as we'll have Zerglings coming out from iAsonu as well.
4 drones, there goes your income advantage. You've only got 2 drones mining on that base now. The pressure is going to be mounting more and more. He's already morphing Banelings behind this and just getting a very nice trade. Oh, and he's got the Banelings behind the hedge. IA does not want to run into that. IA's got his own Banelings showing the prey.
Might lure him. Gonna try. Oh, Zanster! Brilliant move there. Fantastic read to be able to actually get them in the right position. Doesn't want to step the mark, though. These 2 Banelings really want the 2-for-2 trade. They get it. And now, that's so many Zerglings left over against just a spine crawler. A few more Zerglings reinforcing.
Oh, Zanster has the numbers. He has the instincts. He has the build order. He's got everything right here. And he is overwhelming IA. IA going for a very nice counterattack, though, putting the pressure back on, but a great reaction from Zanster, pulling those drones away. Meanwhile, he is tearing apart IA's base.
Fantastic maneuver here, although he does lose a few of those Zerglings to the Banelings at the very end of all of that, but he did so much damage with it. The trades were really, really strong there for him.
Oh, IA is desperately trying to get more drones onto that gold base, but he's only on 1 queen production right now. He is down a lot of supply. He's down in units, and Zanster, yes, he kind of had to pull back to defend that, but the respite is over. IA needs to defend this huge army moving across the map right now.
Going into the first-person view here of Zanster, who looks to continue on this pressure. That one Baneling needs to do some damage for him here. So there is one Baneling leading. Tries to attach one Zergling towards that, moving that Baneling forwards. There's 2 Zerglings on it, leading, and he will be able to just try and wiggle his way around those Banelings.
Oh, look at that micro. Just seeing the speed and precision these players need in these Bane fights. It is just such a dogfight. Everything happens so quickly, but it looks like Zanster is overwhelming. He has the numbers at this point. Look at these splits on his Zerglings, targeting different units, morphing Banelings and reorganizing them in the fight. Beautiful control from Zanster.
Even focusing down Banelings there that were morphing in the cocoon, and that you can see it be it. GG, and Zanster is able to make it to the top 16. He moves on to play in Poland. What a result from him. What a read. Really well done.
That was beautiful, and such a great build from him with that unique fast gas timing that he did do there. It was just a fantastic play, and he just carried it through with such confidence. I mean, the Banelings behind the hedge there are luring him into the back and forth. That was just such a sick move from Zanster.
Not having an overlord there from iAsonu. I mean, you're not going to have the vision there to be able to spot what's going on from that point on. Very, very tough time there for iAsonu. I'm sure once again we will be seeing him into 2016, into Legacy of the Void, because he's really established himself in the Chinese scene as one of the very tip-top players.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, he's got that range, which sometimes players get a little bit one-dimensional when they come from these smaller scenes. I've experienced it in the past. We've seen players like Tude Ming sometimes get a bit overly aggressive, Haas as well, but we see such a great range out of IA, and I think he does have that talent. But, a bit of bad luck, his build orders, and sometimes just, having some slight gaps. And today's Zanster was just too good.
Yeah.
He just edged him out.
It was his day. It was his day. And we shall hear from him over at the analysis desk with Apollo and the lads.
Thank you, Kalaris and the lad. We're here joined with Zanster. Congratulations. First time in Premier League and straight through to the round of 16. Must be a good feeling now it's over and done with.
Yeah, I'm very relieved. Yeah.
I know you came over and you're like, well, why? Talk to me.
I always get a lot of adrenaline after I win, so yeah, that's what I'm feeling right now.
Do you have it while you play?
Only if I know I won, then I get it.
So as soon as you start to realize you're winning, it all kicks in?
Yeah, when I kill these drones at the gold base, then I know I won.
And then is it apart from the adrenaline, what type of feeling is it for you? Just kind of excitement, a heart beating fast?
It feels like I'm nervous, kind of, so it becomes a lot harder to play. So I just always try to focus a lot harder when I know I'm winning.
Have you lost in these mistakes before, in these kind of areas before? Not yet.
But I've heard of players that have, though.
Okay. Sam, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So how comfortable were you going up against iAsonu after the series that you played against Kane? Because obviously Kane played a very aggressive style, we kept mentioning that, and iAsonu is kind of renowned for that. So were you confident going into it, or...?
I actually had no idea how good iAsonu was, so I wasn't too confident. And I was a bit afraid he was going to play very greedy in both of our games, since I showed that I'm a safe player against Kane. And I wasn't planning on 8-pulling ever, so I was still a bit worried, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about game 2, because obviously he did take that gold base, but you scouted it. You didn't scout it straight away. You scouted his natural first. You didn't see anything there.
Yeah.
Talk to me kind of how you wanting to approach that.
I've never played that situation before, to be honest. I thought usually when you play gold base, you do some kind of Ling Bane aggression from it. So my aggression was more supposed to be a defense kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to get like 2-3 drones and then go back and defend, because I knew I had the faster speed.
Yeah. We talked a little bit earlier about how much you've been traveling over the last month or two. You've actually been almost everywhere, just all around Europe and over to America. Does that have any effect of you, like coming into today? Were you kind of a bit tired of all the travel?
Yeah, a bit. It's affected my CVT and CVP the most, I think.
But is that just because of lack of practice, or?
Yeah, but I've every series I prepared for has been CVC. Like in both challenger matches I've played and Swedish tournaments, it's all been CVC. So I'm very comfortable in the matchup.
Is this something that you'll look forward to in the round of 16 to play more Zerg versus Zerg, or are you looking to really focus on the other matchups?
I just want to dodge the Protoss players, to be honest. That's all I want.
So let's talk a little bit about Poland. It's going to be a big event, a really big event, probably the biggest you've played at, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Going to be a lot of fans there. And now you get to, you are going there now, and you can start to think about this. What are your expectations, thoughts? You're going to play the season finals. This is huge.
Yeah, it completely depends on my group, you know, the amount of Koreans and Protoss players. But yeah, I think I have a good chance if I get some Terras and Zergs.
I mean, you've continued to do better and better and better over the last few months. Is this just all come down to hard work over the years? Because obviously, a lot of people who break out in the WCS, like Lilbo in the past, they've been playing for a long time before they actually finally break out. You feel the same?
Yeah, kinda. I changed my approach to how I practice around season 1. So my skill level took a very big dip then. But since then,
What did you change?
My mindset mostly. I was a very one-sided player back then. So I've been focusing on quality more than quantity of practice. So yeah, it's finally starting to kick in, I guess.
Okay, well, congratulations, Zanster. Will be representing Sweden at the season finals in just a couple of weeks' time. He's got a plane ticket to play in Poland. Let's check in with the bracket. Thank you very much, Zanster, for doing this interview with us. Check in with the bracket one final time here. As you can see, the first place and second place from Group F. 4GG goes through in first. Zanster follows up in second place. And as mentioned, both players have plane tickets now to play at the season finals. Let's hope you have some tickets to come and attend as well, because it's shaping up to be a hell of a tournament as we get closer and closer to the global finals. And just like that, Todd has transformed. Well, Zanster's transformed into Todd. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good interview you did there. You were actually playing, weren't you?
Look at him looking at me.
Question.
Look at him looking at me.
He's already waiting.
He's already
sitting over
started.
there. He's like, what can I do for Sam?
You know the first thing
I
he
didn't
said?
even say anything
The
yet.
first thing he said as I came up, he's like, I'm watching you. I'm like, thanks.
You're doing a good job, Bling.
But he's a bit...
When you're not stuttering. You're doing a good job, bro.
He's nervous, mate. You've come in, you're the new boy on the block.
He doesn't make it easy, huh?
You're impressing all the ladies and all the viewers back at home, and Todd's just jealous, man.
Yeah, we went to get some food actually last night, and the waitress talked to Blink for 30 minutes, and then I asked for what I wanted, and she was like, "Okay, next." So, I feel a little bit threatened now.
The bling effect. A good couple of days though. We've played here in the Premier League. We had a good day yesterday, much longer of a day yesterday, but tonight was short and sweet. But eventually we got to where we needed to be, and as you kind of predicted from the beginning, the two rightful players that you expected to advance, right, Sam?
Yeah, I think these two were obviously the standout players, but at the same time, it was a similar kind of situation that we had yesterday. We didn't know how the other two players were going to perform, but yeah, Zanster showing that he's just overall really solid in ZvZ, and 4GG showing why he's a force to be reckoned with.
Final thoughts here, Todd, on today?
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of crazy games actually today, or like crazy series where like one game was super one-sided for one player, and then the next one was completely the other way around. And I feel like it's probably because WCS, I would say, is one of the only tournaments where you have such a clash of the regions. It's probably the only tournament where like Chinese players, they go and play outside of China. So now you got Europeans taking on Canadian, where a Korean who lives in Europe also takes on these players. So in the end, it's just a clash of style, and I thought it was very interesting. Even though some of these games, they were very quick, and some people might have thought they weren't that entertaining, I think the end result definitely was interesting, and some of those games too.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for all your work today. We'll be back tomorrow as we continue our journey to the season finals in the World Championship Series. I hope you enjoyed your evening. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 6 p.m. local time, here on www.starcraft2.com/WCS.